Well, returning to one of our top stories, in the White House, National Security spokesperson John Kirby has told reporters that the chance of an Iranian attack on Israel is still a viable threat. Well, joining me live from Chattanooga in the US is former Republican Congressman Zach Wamp. Good afternoon to you, Zach. Great to see you. How are you this morning or this afternoon for you?
Very well. Good morning to you, Janie. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Nice to see you. Well, it's certainly been described as a delicate situation in the Middle East. How is the US reacting?
Well, I'm no longer in office, but I do pay attention, and it's an interesting dichotomy now for the United States in terms of foreign policy, because you have more and more Republicans that want us to be isolationist. More and more Democrats now are actually siding with the Palestinian movement in the Middle East. So whether or not the U.S. would ever even intervene in the Middle East in the event that Iran attacked Israel is sort of unknown. You know, historically, we would always be right there. We are moving carrier groups into the region, and certainly from the outside looking in, we're totally supportive of Israel. But if it really gets bad, I'm not sure what the United States will do today.
All right, let's turn our attention to some other topics. And former US President Donald Trump's first of the 4 criminal trials will start on Monday. How do you see this unfolding?
Well, I think, unfortunately, for a lot of voters in America, the more legal trouble he seems to get in, the stronger his poll numbers are, because, you know, probably 30 million people think that he's a saint and that he's not guilty, that he's a victim. And so this sort of underscores the victimization that he seeks. And so it's fascinating. I don't even know how the trials will go, but it seems like every time he goes to a courtroom, his poll numbers increase. And so most of the American people are sort of tuning it out, but he could be in real serious legal jeopardy. But so far, it has not hurt him in the polls at all.
And how divided is the Republican Party?
Probably right down the middle. I think a lot of people that don't want Trump are afraid to speak out from fear of retribution. And then there again are 30 million people in this country that think that he's a victim and that he has been dealt a bad hand. Some of them even think that he didn't actually lose the presidential race in 2020. We know that's not true. He did lose the race in 2020, but it's his own fault. But nonetheless, he's very viable. He could be the next president again. Overwhelmingly, the people in this country don't want Biden or Trump, but now it's almost like we're stuck with the two of them, and who knows who's going to win. It could go either way in November.
And what are the most important states in the election to look out for?
Yeah, it always comes down now to a handful of swing states that are going to determine which way the delegates actually go, because the way we structure the Electoral College in the United States, you know, a state like Tennessee, where I live, is going to vote for Trump. So all the delegates are going to be red. They're going to go his way. No matter how I vote, Trump's going to win my state and get those delegates. But in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, to a certain extent, these are the states that are going to determine who the next president is. And everyone else is sort of tuning out. And that creates an intensity problem, because the most intense Democrats are the ones that hate Trump. The most intense Republicans are the ones that hate Biden. And it's not that the most intense one love either of the candidates, because no one loves either of the candidates. They really just despise the opposition. And that adds to the polarization, adds to the divide, erodes the unity that is and has been the United States of America. So it's a mess. The good news, Janie, for you and Australia and our allies around the world, is the system still holds. Our republic is intact, and we can endure a president that doesn't rise to our expectations. That happened with Trump before. It happened with Biden now. And one of them is probably going to be the president again. And we're just going to have to muddle through it.
Well, let's end on a high note. And speaking of swing, how's your swing? Because I know you're a big fan of the Masters.
Well, and I'm watching Cam Smith, too. I mean, he's an Australian, but I love the way he plays golf. And he had that mullet. I think he cut his mullet, but he's a very popular guy there. Even Greg Norman is walking the grounds of Augusta National. I heard he had to pay as a patron and just come because he runs the Live Tour. But I love the game of golf. I've been to the Masters many times. I've played the golf course there. This is a beautiful weekend in the southeastern United States. And so a lot of people are just going to forget about politics and pay attention to golf.
Good idea. Well, Zach Wamp, it's always great to see you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a good Saturday.